What's up everyone, Blue Zerker here, and today we have our Wishiwashi deck. Now, I've seen this be built a few different ways. Some people like to put things like Pyukumuku and some other water type stuff in it, but they get in your way. Manaphy theoretically can set you up, but a good opponent is going to get their own stuff set up before ever knocking the Manaphy out, and then you're going to be sitting there with a much weaker Wishiwashi. You really need to kind of play that pure version of double Wishiwashi EX if you want to be doing this card justice. Now, the only caveat to that is this game has no game against Oricorio. Sometimes. The biggest thing with Oricorio players is they're impatient, and I've won several games where the opponent plays Oricorio. I've knocked something else out, they get it later, they play the card, they're like, oh, I win for free, but then they're impatient. They think there's no combination of cards that like will lose them the game the next turn, and then they lose anyway because of something like Fishing Net, which is very powerful in this deck. Base Wishiwashi only has 30 HP, so it gets knocked out by pretty much anything, but it takes 2 turns for Greninja to snipe it. We have Irida, and that is pretty relevant. The ability, the power it has is for 1 water energy. It's going to put a random Wishiwashi from your deck onto your field. This is a great consistency tool and lets you not really miss out on any energy. If you do lead with that Wishiwashi going second, you can attack and hopefully get a Wishiwashi EX. The deck surprisingly is consistent at setting up these cards. You have to remember you're always guaranteed a basic, of course. If you have Wishiwashi EX, you're never upset. You have 3 turns of manual energy placement in order to get him set up and find your Wishiwashis. And even if you only have 2, 110 is a really good spot to be. Base Wishiwashi has that Call for Family ability. For 1 water energy, it's going to search for the Wishiwashis. It is weak, so it will get knocked down, but Fishing Net really does wonders. One of the things that's so powerful about these low Pokemon count decks is the rest of the deck. I have so many tech options. I have so many things that are good specifically against the meta. It's part of why Darkrai Giratina continues to be such a mainstay in the format, but let's do a quick peek through the deck. Of course, our double Wishiwashis. We've got our Fishing Net. This is powerful. Sometimes you can force the opponent to go through a Wishiwashi EX that's playing as a tank while you have the other one set up in the back. They finally knock it out. You Fishing Net and you just start hitting them for 170, 150 every turn. It's really solid. Guzma, really good when you have the space for it. Red card hurts rare candy decks because they're just sitting there building up cards. Nothing feels better than watching the opponent research into Sprigatito search and then being like +3 on their first turn, and then you red card it away. Red is very important for certain thresholds. You beat Giratina with Cape, you beat Darkrai with Cape, you beat a lot of the big EXs with Cape. With red, guaranteed. And especially there's like if you have red in hand and then you Fishing Net something back, the opponent is taking a bunch of damage they weren't anticipating and they were playing around. We have Pokemon Center Lady. This helps keep that base, the Wishiwashi EX, around. The healing is very nice even for base Wishiwashi, which is also why we have Cape. So many situations where like they're trying to Greninja ping you and you can just Cape it, you buy another turn. Double Misty, of course. Misty's so powerful. Not every water deck has to have Misty. Check out Alola Slash. But having it and the ability to just kind of steal games with Misty is just the reality. Sometimes, though, what's funny is there are times where it's not important to activate Misty as your supporter card. And I think that's another way that Misty will kind of get phased out as time goes by. We've got the Team Rocket Grunt to slow the opponent down. We're a slower setup deck, so anytime we can slow the opponent's game plan, it feels really nice. Mars, very powerful, especially with the Wishiwashi EX in the front. Gets knocked out, you send your big Wishiwashi out that's already set up, you Mars the opponent down to 1 card, and then you just start wailing on them. Irida helps keep us healthy across the board. Single copy of X-Speed helps get that Wishiwashi out of there if you need to use something else as the tank, the Wishiwashi EX. And of course, the double Pokeball, double Research. So let's get right into those games. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoy, leave a like, comment which Pokemon you're excited to see me build a deck around next, and hit subscribe. I do a lot of different types of Pokemon Pocket content, and I'm sure there's something you'll find that will jive with you. Anyway, let's get back to the video. I've been Blue, and I'll smell you later. Alright guys, we're going into that first game. We are leading with Wishiwashi. We see double Wishiwashi in hand. We throw the Misty down. We're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 heads. We've got double Wishiwashi. We attack for 110, and that's it. That's how you play the deck. It's just that easy. But really, here's a more accurate representation of what happens. We don't actually need to Misty here because we led with the original Wishiwashi. So we're going to Pokeball, search, get the other Wishiwashi, and now we're like, what do I do? We don't have the Wishiwashi EX, but because we were going second, because we're going first, we are going to have the stuff ready to go. We're going to red card the opponent. We do see an advantage on 1. I go back and forth on when I think red card is the best. We are going to be able to attack with this Wishiwashi and get set up with that Call for Family ability. It's going to be on the field, and now we can just start manually generating energy on the Wishiwashi EX. He does 150 when he's fully set up, so being able to knock the Snorlax out and 1 will be nice. They have Giratina. If they use their supporter card here, there's the berry. they are going to knock our Wishiwashi out, but we kind of already got the value out of Wishiwashi that we wanted, and we can always find our net later. Hopefully we can keep that Snorlax asleep. 170 HP on Wishiwashi EX is so powerful. It's actually so bulky. We see the other Wishiwashi EX. Throw a Misty down. We're going to flip. Any kind of acceleration is good, but we're not going to get any. That's the classic experience I have with Misty, which is why I feel like, and the fact that I still enjoyed this deck means that it's really not a Misty deck, because otherwise I'd be very, very upset all the time if it only relied on that. We're waiting on the opponent to go. They're going to Giratina, get themselves set up. They're going to see if they can wake up. There they go. They are going to be awake. Next turn, we have 100 damage coming at us. We do have Fishing Net, though. We can see if we can accelerate one energy, and we get another Tails. That is my Misty experience, except, you know, we already showed that I do occasionally get the big ones, but I am losing those games off of Misty. This deck has so many different supporter cards that sometimes you actually don't even want to use Misty. You're like, well, because if I Tails, nothing happens, but if you could win the game off of it, you should probably do it. They're going to attack instead of generating energy on Giratina, so we're going to be able to go. We see the cape. We kind of have everything we could want right now. Irida is going to heal us back up. We are going to net to pull back that Wishiwashi, and suddenly, boom, we're attacking for 150, and that Snorlax is knocked out. They have the Giratina. We're in that nice situation where if they cape and we hit them, they'll knock themselves out on the crackback, and they will knock us out, and we'll just end up tying. They could potion though, or if something happens there, but they're going to bellow, and we just win the game. We're going to draw. We have research, but we don't even need to waste any time. School Storm for 150. So powerful. Alright, and we are going to be going first. We see our hand, we have Wishiwashi EX. This is one of those situations where we'll probably end up using it as a tank in the front line while we get the one in the back line set up. We see Fishing Net. We're going to research, draw 2. We see Guzma, we see Cape. I'm going to red card here just to reduce them down. I have come to a different conclusion on red card, and I have started just saving it for things like Professor's Research, but it never hurts to take that +1, you know, especially in a deck like this that can get winning off of advantage. We see the X speed. We're going to draw our 2 cards, Wishiwashi and Wishiwashi, so we at least have some damage. There's some theory of like, should I keep Wishiwashi in hand in order to hide the amount of damage potential that I have from the opponent, but with the presence of red card and Mars in the meta, don't do it. It's almost always better. It also helps you be Sabrina proof, but it puts you in a crappy situation if nothing ends up happening. We're going to pass here, and next turn we're going to be swinging for 110 damage. The opponent has to get moving. They could probably get that Froakie onto the bench, put Snorlax out. I mean, they could even X-Speed, you know. They're going to just go ahead and throw another energy onto that Snorlax and just sacrifice this Froakie, probably so that Snorlax can tank a hit according to them, and then, you know, nothing will happen there. We are going to get the Wishiwashi EX out, though. We're going to School Storm for 150 damage. Feels so good. The opponent didn't hit what they needed rare candy wise. That's another thing this deck has, is it is relatively very, very consistent. You almost always see exactly what you need. There's the occasional like lead with small Wishiwashi, the opponent's going second with Litten and it just feels bad, but that doesn't happen super often, and the opponent is just going to concede. They are too far behind already our Wishiwashi EX deck. And this one we are going first. We are cursed with going first. This deck prefers going second, obviously just for that extra energy generation advantage, but going first doesn't hurt our feelings too much, as long as we can do something decent if we draw Misty or if the opponent just can't make their way through. I'm deciding exactly what to do here. This is one of those situations where I keep Wishiwashi. I'm really giving my opponent an excellent red card, but I'm not going to be upset about what I draw, hopefully. They red card us. We see Irida, Guzma, Wishiwashi EX. So we did lose out on 2 cards, but we still have the extra damage that we're going to need on Wishiwashi, so that's okay. And what we could have drawn was kind of a lot better than what we did have. We're going to get the Wishiwashi EX in the main spots set up, mainly because the opponent is not going to be able to take us out with Irida. They're going to Iona us, though, Research and Wishiwashi. If the opponent stoked this turn, we would go up to our second energy, and then when they attacked, because we had Irida, we would be able to survive and then knock them out on the crackback. That's why I decided to play that turn the way I did. We do have the other energy on Wishiwashi now. They have the Wishiwashi. They're going to see what they have in their hand, and we have pretty much everything we need. We've got red, we've got Mars, we've got all this ways to disrupt him. He's going to combustion us. Easy, not a problem. He doesn't have his rare candy pieces, and that's part of the playing the rare candy stuff. There's too many times where you're staring at like the wrong half of your rare candy duo, or you just don't have it all. You could have the Charmeleon and not the Charizard. You just could not have the Candy. It's not really searchable, right, the way that our Wishiwashis are, which is why something like Darkrai Giratina is so good. They are going to rare Candy up into that Charizard, though. They're going to throw the energy down, and then they're going to Stoke. So now they can knock us out for 150. They're at 180 HP, but we actually have such a good matchup here. We're going to red to deal a bonus 20, and Charizard is weak to water, so we are going to Wishiwashi it away for 190 damage. So we take the win. All right, guys, we're going to be going second in this game. We are going to lead with base Wishiwashi. I'm hoping the opponent doesn't hit us with like something crazy super fast. I played against Fomantis the other day, and that was annoying with the Wishiwashis on the bench. But they are going to have that Giratina, of course. It's pretty much in every deck. You know, there's that card. We thought it wasn't going to be good. We thought Giratina wasn't going to be very good, but man, oh man, were we wrong. Our TCG players almost always wrong about the quality of cards and how they shape the game. They are going to research and Pokeball, and we see the base Giratina come out. This is really interesting. This is telling me this is the Cosmog, not the Cosmog, the Lunala deck that moves all the energy around, and that deck is really, really fun, if not very consistent. We have Wishiwashi. We're going to go ahead and call for family to pull something out. We know the opponent is playing a slower game, and we tend to win those slower games with the power of Wishiwashi. I've got a lot of options in my hand. It felt bad not being able to just try and Misty Wishiwashi EX because we didn't have it, but we are going to be able to play to the best of our ability. They're going to Iona us, though. It doesn't hurt our feelings too much. I mean, we do miss out on some of the stuff we were going to do. We draw a bunch of different strong, powerful cards, though, that we will end up using. The opponent can knock out our base Wishiwashi next turn with a Giratina and a manual energy attachment. We are going to Pokeball, though, grab that Wishiwashi EX. We could also, the X speed isn't always necessary. It is just a nice option to have when you have a Wishiwashi lead and you want to be able to tank with Wishiwashi EX. It helps you from having to find the net later in the game. So we're going to switch out here. I decide to switch into the one that I'm not setting up because I know I can always knock the Giratina out thanks to the net when it knocks us out, and I can have the one with all the energy in the back. I could also maybe try to Misty up the one in the front, get a little lucky as I manually create the one in the back. A few different options that this deck really does have. The opponent is going to get that Giratina set up. Chaotic Impact coming down. We take 40. They take, 130. We go down to 40. And then we are going to figure out exactly what we want to do. There's no reason to Pokemon Center Lady. I could Mars, but next turn Mars is so much more profitable. I decided to go ahead and do it, though. It is a +2. -3 for the opponent, and we are just trying to make it where their options are limited. I don't want them to have Sabrina. Sabrina is something that could potentially take us out unless we can get exactly what we need later in the game with Misty. Because if Wishiwashi EX comes out, so they're actually going to opt to go into this Lunala EX. They've got the rare candy, and it's going to be set up and ready to go. 180 HP is right above the threshold our Wishiwashi is able to one-shot. So that's like a little annoying. It's not so bad against Solgaleo EX because he does deal the 10 damage to himself, so he effectively has 170 HP, and we can always knock it out with red. But we will send our other Wishiwashi EX out, get that generation, the manual energy generation. We've got Wishiwashi EX with the net, and we're going to see if we can Team Rocket Grunt them away. And Tails, yeah. It feels bad to use the supporters and nothing happened, but any psychic energy we could reduce from their field, they would be in trouble. We'll attack for that 150, but now they have to start fleeing. This is something funny that the deck can do, but if the Pokemon that attacks gets knocked out, you lose all this psychic energy that you've been working so hard towards, and you can't attack and then do the extra generation with Giratina because obviously it ends your turn. This deck is so much fun. It feels so big brain. It's so satisfying to play. But in my actual experience of playing it, you can't get everything that you need set up. And there are just so many situations that are awkward. Because if you don't lead with Giratina, then you can't just freely switch into whoever was already being powered up. And it just makes for some awkward situations. And it's like so cool in theory. It's so cool in theory. But it's too much setup for not enough payoff, especially though we don't have Cyrus, so the more they make their guys tanky and multiple hits, it's really annoying. We have Guzma though, so we can get rid of that cape, and we are going to be able to attack for 150. Part of the power of Guzma, I was almost a Guzma naysayer, but the more I'm able to play, I think it is one of the lower supporter cards, but when it is able to be played and fit in a deck, it feels very impactful. I just don't know that I would opt for it over something like Sabrina in certain matchups. And they realize where this is going. They see the writing on the wall, and they are going to surrender. So, yeah, knocking them out. This one we are going to be going second. That's pretty decent. We like going second. The opponent's got Charmander. We've got Wishiwashi. That Charmander is the one that hits for 30, and I actually think that's the correct one. Before, I was like, there's never a reason you would run this one, but because of Stoke always being able to manually set itself up, it's pretty decent. We've got double Pokeball coming in for those Wishiwashis. We have the Wishiwashi EX guaranteed here. We can throw both of these down. We're going to Misty, see if we can get something going. We'll get a heads, and then we'll get a tails. Okay, so one extra turn is not bad at all. We can put it, I was deciding exactly what I wanted to do. If we draw X speed, we can get it out and attack next turn, and that's super powerful. We'll just kind of win the game off of that. So I decided to play for that as an option because we could also research into it. When you're thinking about certain plays, you have to remember when research is still in your deck that drawing into research is not the same as drawing into the card because you can't then play it. We're going to Mars the opponent down. I just don't want them to have the Charizard in hand. We can use this Wishiwashi, though, to attack, get the other Wishiwashi set up now this turn, and then we have Wishiwashi EX ready to go next turn. So even if they stoke, they won't knock us out. That's the best part. Like, if they come in and they stoke us, they can't knock us out. Here he is. Here's the Charizard EX. They're going to attack us with that stoke ability. He's going to go up to 4 energy. We're going to draw. We see the research that I was kind of talking about. I'm going to grunt, see if we can do something. We steal one of the energy, but that puts us in such a good position because now they can't potentially red us with the steam artillery to knock us out because we wouldn't one-shot it, and then we were able to take it out there. So yeah, that's, sometimes one heads wins you the game. There were the games. I have a lot of fun with this deck. Like I said, it really doesn't have much game against Oricorio in particular. That's one of the biggest things. Like, you see the electric, you're like, maybe, and then they throw Oricorio down. But there are some circumstances where you can even, if you see Oricorio in the Giratina Darkrai decks, you can actually, like, outstall them. It's kind of crazy, and then they'll get impatient. They'll try attacking you, and then you'll knock them out on the crackback, which feels really good to, like, just be alternating. I'm just more patient and always willing to play the game out, and so I feel like I beat opponents on the merit of that alone. The deck's so much fun, though. It is consistent. You get better as a player as you play it, too, because you start to realize which supporters you need in specific situations. Even those games, I felt like my red card usage upon review wasn't the best it could have been because of it's just so much better to almost always save it for, like, post-research. Nothing feels worse than, like, I mean, some things feel worse, I guess, than getting, like, Misty flipped out of the game, but, like, red carding the opponent, and then they just immediately research you, and they're like, I'm not really behind at all. You've wasted your red card. But sometimes you just pull the trigger, especially if you don't know exactly what the opponent's doing, and it feels really bad to be looking at your hand and be like, oh, this hand's really good, I've already got my play, and then they red card you or Mars you, and you're like, oh, man. This deck has red card and Mars, so you can be a little more liberal with red card if you know you're going to be able to Mars later. But yeah, those were the games. I hope you enjoyed. I have so much fun with this deck. Like I said, it really has been my ladder climbing deck. Misty is always, a steal sometimes, but as we also saw, I will play Misty twice, use 2 of my important uses of my supporter cards into double tails, and it doesn't matter. But anyway, I've been Blue. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, which Pokemon are you playing this set? What deck are you using to climb up the ladder? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We hit 150. That's awesome. It came out of nowhere. I was very surprised. I want to say I'm hovering around like 169 right now. So the next goal is 250 or 251 for that Celebi number. But anyway, I've been Blue. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll smell you later.